to be if you wanted a truly off-road capable truck, you had to buy a vehicle, purchase the aftermarket parts separately, and then either build it yourself or pay a shop to help build it for you. But now you can head straight to the dealership and buy a truck with upgraded parts that were engineered, tested, and installed directly from the manufacturer. Most importantly, the trucks are all backed with a full warranty. For 2016, there's really only two next-level off-road trucks available, and we have them assembled here in this head-to-head shootout that pits the Ram 1500 Rebel against the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Let's see which one of these trucks comes out on top. Now, in the last 5-6 years or so, since the economy started rebounding, we've seen a lot more of these specialty off-road offerings from the manufacturers. And invariably, the Ford Raptor set this whole thing off kind of back in 2010, and it seems like everybody wants to know, how does this compare to the Raptor? Is it as good? Is it as capable? And these trucks aren't quite on the same level as the Ford Raptor, but they're definitely a step above a standard off-road package.
You're right, Josh. These trucks do have a lot more to offer than the standard 4x4 truck.
Yeah, and it's interesting because both of these trucks actually have a lot of the same features. Dual exhaust. They both have upgraded suspension, 2 inches of clearance, additional clearance over a stock vehicle, and they're both powered by a 5.7 liter engine. There's the Hemi in the Ram and the iForce V8 in the Tundra. Now, what did you think of the Tundra's engine during on and off-road testing?
Well, the Tundra has more of a muscle feel to it. It's louder in the cab, and when you get on the gas, you feel that rumble. It's got a throaty exhaust, and it's got good power on road and off road.
Yeah, I agree. Both trucks are fitted with a dual exhaust system as well, and for whatever reason, the Tundra kind of has a little bit more rumble and growl. It actually sounds like the more aggressive engine of the two, and I liked it as well. I think the acceleration off the bottom is good. There's plenty of usable power on and off-road. I mean, they're both very powerful V8s. The one thing that I noticed, I was surprised jumping from truck to truck that I thought there was a little bit more seat of the pants pull from the Hemi.
I will agree with that. The Hemi feels like you get into it a lot faster off the line than the Tundra.
Yeah, and we actually kind of noticed that when we were doing towing testing. We had a couple really steep inclines with basically as an 8,000-pound setup with our trailer and our tow vehicle.
It was heavy for sure.
Yeah, and I thought that the Hemi handled the load a little bit better than the Tundra did. Both had capable power to pull that much of a load, but I thought that the Hemi was a little bit stronger overall. And I think part of that might have to do with the fact that the main difference between these two engines is the Ram has an 8-speed transmission, the Tundra has a 6-speed. The rear gear ratio in the Ram is 392, 430 in the Tundra.
What really caught me was we were going up this really steep hill towing the trailer, and the Ram, it just kept going up. It had plenty of power all the way to the top. I found that the Tundra seemed to be struggling a little bit, and it was searching for gear. Actually, it seemed like we lost a little bit of power at the top.
The Ram seemed to have the edge, and I think that reinforces the seat of the pants feel that we felt with the Hemi, where it's a little bit more powerful. Now, in terms of the handling of the two vehicles, what did you have anything that really stuck out with either of these two trucks to you?
The Ram, this new air suspension concept is I like it. It's different. It gives you, the driver, a lot more tunability on the fly, really. Mm-hmm. And we found that it worked great for on-road and towing. The air ride actually self-leveled when we had a pretty heavy setup behind it.
The Ram Rebel is fitted with some Bilstein monotube shocks that do a really good job of soaking up the bumps when we're out here off-road. And I thought they delivered great on-road handling as well. And the air suspension, the tunability and adjustability with it is a great feature to have. The big difference is, compared to the Tundra, you have large Bilstein coilovers with a remote reservoir on there. It's preset at that. So both trucks will give you an additional 2 inches of clearance over basically a stock level truck. It's just with the Tundra, obviously, it's already set there. And we kind of noticed off-road that was a little bit more of a benefit, right?
It was predictable. You knew what you had to work with. You have the extra 2-inch lift in the front, ride height, and the 60 millimeter piggyback reservoir shocks. They were great off-road On road, they handle really well. I always felt the truck was in control, even when towing a heavy load.
The difference, I guess, between the two is you do have to set the Ram Rebel into the off-road mode to get that additional inch of clearance over the base normal ride height. I thought that the Ram Rebel just had a little bit more kind of bouncy rebound coming out of the heavier whoops. You know, I thought the Tundra just kind of soaked up the bumps just a little bit better.
At higher speeds, I would agree. At lower speeds, I did like the Ram. It had more of a smooth suspension feel to it, and it was definitely very capable off-road as well.
Now, both of these trucks feature upgraded all-terrain tires, but they're very different. What did you notice during testing about the difference between the two?
The TRD Pro, it has more of a light truck tire to it. It worked great on road. It had really good handling, both towing and just carving hills. Off-road, I would like to have seen a 17-inch perhaps, and maybe something a little more aggressive, a little more of an all-terrain tire. The Ram, on the other hand, it does come with a 17-inch wheel, 285, and it's an all-terrain tire, so it had a lot more traction off-road.
Yeah, I agree. The Toyo AT2's just that. I mean, it's a truer all-terrain tire. The Michelin's is an all-terrain tire, but I kind of feel like Toyota dropped the ball on this one. It's just not an aggressive enough tire for an off-road package.
We've been tackling some pretty rough terrain out here in the Mojave Desert this week, including some really big hills. What do you think about the traction on these trucks?
Both trucks feature some form of limited slip. The only disappointing part to me is that there's no locker in either of these trucks. I would like a selectable locker in an off-road package. There were a few instances where I felt like we just needed that added traction to kind of get through certain sections.
The Ram Rebel, in my experience, going up the hills, I never felt like I was losing or peg legging or only had one wheel turning. That limited slip it just kicked in when you needed it.
I think that part of the problem with the Tundra as well might be the fact that it has, you know, tires that really don't have enough aggressive grip to bite into the trail. So, you know, I mean, maybe their limited slips are comparable, but, you know, the tire is really a weak point for the Tundra. They've really done a good job, I think, on both of these trucks of making them stand out from the stock trucks. So when you get a Ram Rebel, it's not going to look just like a Ram 1500. And when you get the TRD Pro, it's got its own unique features to make it stand out from a standard Tundra 4x4.
The Tundra has that heavy-duty look to it. It's just, you know, it's a truck. The Ram Rebel, I thought, it was a lot sportier, aggressive. It doesn't even have to move. It looks like it's ready to just take down that hill. So what do you think about the Tundra's interior?
I think it's nice. Both trucks have great interior. The Tundras, you know, there's added customization on there. TRD Pro is on the driver and passenger front seat. There's red stitching throughout on the dash and on the doors, seat and the back seat as well. Overall, I felt like the cabin was a little more spacious in the Tundra. It feels bigger. It's easy to get comfortable. I think the controls and dials are all easy to find. And I know we liked the column shifter on the center console there. Thought it was a little easier to use, and I know you mentioned you like that off-road.
Yeah, there's just something about having the shift lever right at your side to just, you know, change gears on the fly if need be. One of the things I didn't like about the Ram Rebel is the dial shifter. It's just, you know, it's a new concept. It takes some time to get used to that, especially when you come from a background of shifting.
Yeah, one thing that we noticed off-road too is when you're in 4 low and you're trying to shift between gears, you actually do it with buttons on the steering wheel, which we kind of felt like that was a little bit awkward, and you kind of feel disconnected because you're using electronics.
That was it. I mean, the interior, everything else is great. The Ram felt a lot more sportier. The seats hug the driver. The steering wheel just has a kind of a motorsports feel to it. When you grab onto the truck, it just comes together. It makes you feel like it's ready to roll.
Yeah, and I thought one of the main things that stood out was I really like the center console in general on the Ram. You know, it's a nice big layout. There's a lot of usable space there. There's a big compartment in the front, there's a spot for your phone, and then there's still a large covered center console. Whereas in the Tundra, you have your shifter right on the center console, and it takes up some of your usable space. The Tundra comes in at about $46,000. The Ram is a little bit higher in the $53,000 range, and You know, you get a lot of added features with the Ram, so there's kind of a trade-off with that, but you know, how does price factor in for you in this?
Well, the Ram does have a steeper price tag to it, but it does have a lot more technology built into it. The air suspension and the interior, it just seems like it has a lot more detail to it than the Tundra. That all factored into the price.
So we've gathered a ton of information about these two trucks this week, you know, and I'd suggest everyone head over to Off-Road.com and check out the full story because there's tons more info here. But for the sake of this shootout, I think we came to the conclusion that the Ram Rebel is the winner.
It really is. It's a whole new truck. It's got a lot to offer, and I love the suspension and I love the styling.
Yeah, I agree. This is the adjustability with the suspension. Hemi engine's awesome. The interior and exterior styling really match together to make a nice package that is different from a standard stock truck. The 2016 Ram Rebel brings a lot to the table, and it's the all-around package for this next level off-roader that makes it the clear-cut winner of this shootout.